Okay. Today's class is going to be on clairsentience or clear feeling. And I want to talk about a little bit about what that actually means, and then some very basic, simple practices that you can begin to understand your clear feeling within your own being, because that's where we start. We always start with ourselves. And then I will give you a few practices that you can do with other people. But the very beginning is all about learning your energy, how it feels in your body. Because in order to do a reading for another person, or to tune into what's coming up for them, or do any type of that physical type mediumship, you have to understand your own energy. When you're wanting to trust your intuition and your instincts, you have to trust your own energy, right? In order to not buy into the fear, you have to tune into and trust your own energy. So clear feeling really resides in the solar plexus. And a lot of times if you are disconnected from that center, or it's out of balance, it's because you are absorbing emotions from other people, or you are holding on to things that are no longer serving you and are really congesting it, or that center, and making it hard to tune in to that feeling. It's almost how it becomes numb in our body, right? How we numb ourselves. And for a long time, I was very disconnected from my sacral chakra and very much medicated my body. And so therefore I clogged my solar plexus, right? Because I wasn't taking care of my being. So let's just get right into what needs to be done in order to read your own energy and understand it. So first and foremost, the things that I'm going to tell you that are best for you to do are, if you don't have this feeling in your body, if you are feeling like, I don't feel anything, or I don't know what this means, or then you want to start at the very beginning, which is changing up your diet. And it doesn't have to be long-term or a permanent thing. It needs to obviously be resonant with you and be something that you enjoy doing, that feels good to you. But in the very beginning of my awakening and coming into my clairsentience, which is my primary gift, I spent 40 days, and this is me, so this is me giving you an example, doing lots of things. So I journaled, I meditated every day, but I detoxed my system. So that means I had no caffeine, I had no sugar, I had no refined carbohydrates, I had no refined sugar. So I still had fruit and berries and things like that. And I mainly drank water. I got rid of all the soda or diet soda. And I really just cleaned up my diet. And that enabled me to feel everything in my body. As I was journaling and going through these things, I would feel the urge to medicate or to eat, or, or to drink, or to do things. Oh yes, also no alcohol. But because I chose not to, and I chose to honor that detox of my system, I actually got to feel what that emotion was and where it lived in my body and what it meant to me. And so when I had a certain pain or a certain feeling, I could locate it in my body. And I started journaling about it. And I started keeping track of, when this happened, I felt the pain here. When this person said something, I felt it. I felt an issue here. When I went to this event, this was the feelings that I felt. And I started kind of keeping track of, when something happened, what it felt like. And then I could come back after, because this is when I was still learning discernment. I could come back after and say, oh, okay, that makes sense, because that wasn't mine, right? When I was feeling fine until I entered that building, or before I met that person, and then everything shifted, and this is how I felt for a while, and then it came, it altered back. So really documenting what was going on in my body, and just recognizing it, becoming aware of it. So this is why I always talk about awareness being such a huge thing, because we have to be aware of, when you do this, this is what happens. And if I choose to do this, this is what happens. and documenting it so we can come back. Hindsight, right, is always 2020. We can go back and we can look at it and say, okay, that makes sense now. So the second part of that was dedicating time alone with myself. And you can do this with meditation, or you can do it with just like reading or being outside in a peaceful space, but all by yourself, not in a crowd, not in a restaurant, not in a coffee shop, because you want to understand how your energy feels and operates when no one else is around, when there is no stress, when there isn't anything going on. Are you calm, cool, and collected? Are you all over the place? How is your energy when you are alone? Document it, right? When things come up for you and you are alone, document it. How are you reacting? How are you feeling? Where does it live in your body? This may seem like a long process, but it's really not. It's a matter of catching on and just becoming more and more aware. So I don't have it in front of me, but I keep one of these little mini journals, or I use Evernote on my phone, or just the notepad on my Apple, to kind of just keep track of things that are going on and my awarenesses, so that I can go back and reflect and contemplate later on, like maybe once a week or every other day, just kind of tune back in and say, oh, okay, I have a different perspective on this now, right? This is why I was feeling this. So that's the very basics of getting started, of understanding what you feel like alone, and then what happens when you go out in public, and when when somebody says or does something in particular, an action or a comment, or you walk into a situation, right? How does it feel? Where does it live in your body? What did it trigger? All these things. And they doesn't have to be paragraphs and paragraphs. They can be very short and to the point sentences. Went here. This is what, this is what happened. This is what I felt. And this is where I felt it in my body, right? Not just I felt sad. Where did you feel a sadness and a heaviness in your heart? Was it a gut punch, right? Did your body tense up? Did you get an instant headache? Did your mood shift? Those kinds of things. So being aware of these things is the first step, because then you can always look at it and have another perspective. Okay, so going into, a lot of times people say, I like to offer up the question that I learned, which is, if I say yes to this, what will it create in my life? And then feel it. And a lot of people say, well, I feel it, but I don't know what that means. So here is my all-time favorite way of learning what yes and no means in your body. And it's super simple. And some people are like, oh, that's too easy. It really isn't. It's just, I'm bringing it into your awareness, right? It's a remembering. So take some time in meditation or whatever, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, doesn't have to be anything serious. Come forward with 2 questions that you already know the answer to. They are outlandishly going to be a yes or a no. And I want you to clear out your energy. So take your breath and consciously breathe through your mouth. Conscious breath is through your mouth. So, and just kind of relax and empty yourself out. With your breath in, you want to see a light coming through you. Any freaking color you want. It doesn't really matter. I often use the white diamond ray. You can use the violet karmic ray, but just breathe in. See that light coming down through your system and out. Just consciously with the intention of clearing yourself out, settling your energy, collecting all the parts and pieces, bringing yourself into this centered space, grounding you into your body. It really clears you out. Then you're going to say, my intention is to understand and feel what yes and no means in my body. And then you're going to close your eyes. Again, conscious breath. Close your eyes. In your mind, ask the question, is it in my highest and best to jump off a bridge? And you're going to feel it in your body. Either you're going to get tense and tight, you're going to get a gut punch to the stomach, you're going to feel it. I want you to ask a question that's a no, but it's a little bit more subtle of a no. right? It's not something so serious as jumping off a bridge, right? Is it in my highest and best to eat that piece of cake? Immediate stomach upset. Tune into what you feel. Document it, write it down. Now let's try yes, right? Is it in my highest and best to eat that apple? I get tingles and expansion through my body. Is it in my highest and best to say yes to this opportunity? Feel it. And it may not be like electricity and all this excitement in your body, right? It may just be peaceful and calm. It may feel expansive or free. You may feel a little bit of tingling in your feet or like, ooh, like chills, like, yes, that sounds amazing. But document it and practice this. Do it multiple days in a row, multiple times, and really tune in. And then practice it during the day. So when you're out doing something, when you're out driving, right? When you're out driving, when you're at a coffee shop, when you're doing things, tune in your mind and ask yourself these questions. And then just take note of the feeling that you get. Don't try to pick it apart. Just tune into it. Because then when you're later on, when you have mastered this feeling, you can say, okay, I need to get out of my head and into my heart. I'm going to ask my question. If I say yes to this, what will it create in my life? And you immediately feel it and you're like, okay, I trust that because I know my energy, right? And it's not manipulated by other people around you. Okay, so if you want to start tuning in to someone else's energy to discern that it's not yours. So first of all, when you enter into that space, this is why the first part is always about understanding what's yours and what's not. I want you to start to tune into, okay, when I come home and my spouse is there or my friend is there, I felt this shift in my energy. In that moment, I want you to tune into that and feel it in your body. And I want you to say, this isn't mine. Please leave. And you guys have heard me say this before. This isn't mine. Please leave. And mean it. You are the commander of your energy. Ask it to leave. But you can also say, you can do it the other way and say, okay, something's not right with my spouse, because sometimes we block ourselves, right? We put ourselves in these boxes and we say, we don't want to feel anything. So you can say, I choose to tune in to my spouse's energy for just a moment. Let me feel it for just a minute so that I can understand it. And then please take it away. And practice doing this, because this is how we can have compassion and be the observer and understand what someone else is going through without empathizing and attaching to it and taking it on as our own, right? This is how I read people energetically. As I tune in for just a moment, I ask, please let me feel what they're feeling in their body for just a moment. Okay, got it? Now take it away. Now, based on me and how I've gone through my life, right? When somebody did this to me or did this to me, I notated how it felt in my body. I can now give a reading to somebody and say, well, this is what it feels to me. So is there something going on with this or this, right? But this also helps us to read people better in the moment, because we can tune in. We're automatically doing it anyway most of the time, right? All of us are super sensitive, and we're enveloping ourselves in each other's energies or in other people's energies, right? We have these big commanding energies. So we come in there and we immediately are just taking on their shit. Well, what if we said, no, I'm the cloud, as Archangel Metatron likes to call it. I allow that energy to move through me. However, I would like to tune in for just a moment and feel what they're going through. So then I can have compassion and be observing and not attaching. And if you get into that habit and you end up taking it all on to yourself and holding on to it, again, say, this is not my energy. Please leave. Call in the conscious breath with the light, or it doesn't even have to be with your mouth. You can close your You can breathe in through your nose, or you can breathe in through your mouth, and just really with the intention of clearing yourself out. Okay, so now when you've done that, that is mastering your own energy and asking yourself the yes and no questions is really how you begin to tune into your gut instincts, your intuition on a feeling level, which is where we need to be, because we want to get out of our head, right? Our head has an agenda where our body doesn't, our energy doesn't. It's just there. So it's not going to lie to you. It's going to tell you the truth. And I have to say this because it's coming up. And that is, sometimes our body says yes to something, but it doesn't work out so well. And we're like, well, shit, did I get it wrong? And it's like, no, maybe you needed to learn a lesson. Maybe that was an opportunity that you needed in your life. And so your energy said, yes, do it, because it was something that you needed to experience, you needed to go through. And so what was it trying to show you? Okay, so we got that out of the way. All right, if you want to practice this with other people, so that you can get a feeling of them from a distance without kind of being thrown into their energy and trying to discern it right away, you can take a picture of somebody or an object like a watch or a ring or a bracelet, item of clothing. You can touch it. You can be in the energy of it. You can hold the picture. You can look into their eyes. When I first started, I used to zoom in to their eyeballs. The eyes are windows to the soul for me. And so a lot of times I don't do readings for people if I can't see their profile picture, because I need to see them. I need to see through them, into them. And so I'll take a picture or an item of their things if I'm in person with them, and just, again, consciously clear myself out and center myself and just look at them and say, what do I feel? What are their eyes saying to me? What is their energy saying to me? Close your eyes and imagine, see them. A lot of times we say, oh, I can't see, but you can. You have an imagination, right? Imagine them standing right in front of you. Feel into their energy. And then write it down. It's okay if you get it wrong. This is why we practice doing these things, why we practice tuning into ourselves or our family members or our kids or our friends, because they're going to honestly give us that feedback and not take it so seriously. They're going to be like, oh, no, that's not what it was, but you were close, right? You had part of it right. Because sometimes we get part of it right, and then our ego comes in and is like, whoa, that's how it was for me. I would get part of it right and part of it wrong because I allowed my ego to come in. And you can't judge yourself for that. You just have to say, okay, so I am trusting my first instinct, but then I'm allowing my ego to say that's not enough. It needs to be more, and come in and take over. So those are some things that you can do to help read somebody and understand their energy and different from you, how it feels in your body, and then asking yourself, what does this mean to me? Because it's going to translate into something for them. Do you see what I'm saying? You're going to be able to have that compassion for them in an observatory way. But a lot of this, again, comes back to where a lot of us are shut down because we go into large places, or we go around people and our circuits get overloaded, right? We get anxiety, or we feel frazzled, or we feel like too much on top of us, and or we feel like we're getting attacked with all this energy. And so you really have to be discerning, and it's all about your intention. So when you're going into a parade or a large building, or even into a client's room, you need to intentionally see yourself as a cloud, because we all are just particles of energy. See yourself as a cloud, and anything they're spewing at you will move through you. And set that intention. My energy is mine and only mine. I am a cloud. Their energy will move through me. It will not attach to me. And believe it, okay? If something's intense and you know it's going to be a struggle, you can ask for boundaries and a little help by placing a violet ray around your aura. So ask for your aura to be brought in couple of inches or feet off of either side, and top and bottom, and see it as an egg around you, and place that violet there's a lot of energy right here, violet ray around it for that karmic to cleanse it as it comes through. That way we're not blocking energy. We're not saying protect me. We're saying have boundaries, clean that energy, allow it to be discerning for me. You can ask for help from your guides and angels and ask for you to be reminded, right, to discern that that's not yours. But it comes down to infinite awareness, always being aware of what you're feeling, what's true for you. If this isn't normal for you and all of a sudden you were in a great mood and all of a sudden it shifts right away, you need to ask yourself, why, not why, but what is the purpose of my energy shifting? Is there something I need to see and learn here? Or is this just not my energy? And I think it is. And ask it to leave. I mean, we don't even have to get into all that technicality, right? And if it is your energy, ask to shift it. Say, what is this trying to show me? What would I rather feel instead? And move above it. Because when you live on that higher vibration, when you live in that higher plane of consciousness, and you don't allow yourself to get sucked down into the third dimensional drama and ego, it's less likely for you to attach these heavy, dense energies to you because they're on a different wavelength. Like it's just not a match. You're not going to receive it, right? It's just going to go right below you or right over you or whatever, right? So it's going to miss you. Radio signal. You have to be on that frequency to receive it. So don't allow it to suck you down into it. I'm just seeing if anything else wants to come through. I think that's pretty much it. So my suggestion for you guys is to really tune into how you feel energy now. And if you're not feeling it all, how can you set yourself up for success by changing your diet, changing your vibration, taking care of your physical body. The best physical mediums and clairsentient people are ones who take extreme care of their vehicle of light, their body, because that is their instrument. That is how they have their knowing. And that's for me, that's that way. If that's not your primary gift, it's still a good exercise to do for a little bit so that you can really understand your own energy primarily. Because when we talk about intuition and trusting, that comes from your energy, that comes from your being. It doesn't come from your mind. And so if you don't know what that feels like, then you need to take that time for you to cut everything else out and tune into it. So if you guys have any questions, please just comment or let me know, reach out to me, and we'll go from there. Thank you.